Yo, what's up? What's going on? What's good, everybody? That's right. The Boxing Source here is checking in on the September 4th episode of the Boxing Source podcast. Of course, this is JR Bell, the host here of the Boxing Source, the leader of the Boxing Source. Of course, we got content through Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. We also have, of course, the website, theboxingsource.net, where you would have, interviews that comes from this YouTube channel and also rankings that are updated for the WBC, WBA, IBF, and WBO, and also the Boxing Source pound for pound top 10. So you can go ahead and check out the boxingsource.net. That is our website, and we got that particular stuff that's on there. So be sure to jump in and follow the page. But for right now, we got all that stuff that's going on in the boxing world that we're going to be talking about. Try to cover all of this as much as possible within a constrained time frame, and get all of this stuff done and knocked out. So want to get through all of this here. Of course, we got a number of stuff that's going down. Reference to the welterweight, or basically the super welterweight scene, it seems like, here, as the top story that we're going to be covering here over the course of what happened in the week of boxing is particularly with Errol Spence Jr. as the former unified welterweight champion has activated his rematch clause to face Terence Crawford once again. This happened, of course, a few days ago that it was confirmed through that, and that it was basically something where he said that he wanted the rematch. He said that immediately after the first fight had taken place, and for a number of people who saw the fight and saw what happened in that particular fight, there were a lot of doubts that Errol Spence was going to activate that rematch clause. But usually the thing is with Errol Spence Jr. is he's been a man of his word as far as like what he's going to do in his professional career. He said that he was going to try to go ahead and get every one of those belts in the welterweight division, and he attempted to do that. A number of those belts one by one. It was just that with this fight against Terence Crawford, he just fell short. But after that, he said that he wanted to run it back, and that is exactly what he did. And of course, there was like a like a 60-day limit in reference to if that particular rematch could be activated, and he used pretty much all of those days, it seems like, before he went ahead and activated that rematch clause. So the thing about it is now we got to see when it will take place. Now, some that have followed the midweek report that we had on here, we pretty much said like, hey, it could potentially happen in December. We talked about dates that were set aside over in Las Vegas. That was done by TGB Promotions, who, of course, is affiliated with Al Heyman or Premier Boxing Champions or whatnot. And we've seen a couple of dates that were there in November and a couple of dates that were in December. And so pretty much had said that it could be that last date or that last Saturday in December that we could see that rematch between Errol Spence Jr. and Terence Crawford. I say either it's going to be December 30th, or it'll be like way early, like 21 days early or something like that. But we wanted to see if we would have Errol Spence go ahead and take that rematch clause. Now, of course, there are fans on both sides that were kind of like having their thoughts in reference to if a rematch was going to take place. Of course, with Terence Crawford having that dominant win on July 29th over Errol Spence Jr. There at T-Mobile Arena, there were a number of people that felt like, we really didn't think that there was going to be a rematch in this particular instance. But you had fans on Spence's side saying, "Hey, look, this is something. This is Spence. He's a competitor. He's not going to, just go off and say that he's going to be facing somebody else in this particular instance." So, they said that, hey, we will probably see Errol Spence go ahead and activate that rematch clause. And so that's basically what happened. And this is kind of like reminding me of something that happened, sometime back. And I know that even though one of these fighters did fall short, after activating the rematch, he went ahead and took the fight anyway. And that was, Deontay Wilder, who, faced Tyson Fury. And in their second fight that took place, that was back in 2020, he ended up getting knocked down multiple times and was beaten and eventually stopped by Tyson Fury. And then, after that, immediately after that, actually, Deontay Wilder had activated his rematch clause. Well, here you don't have to go through no arbitration or anything like that. That is not the case here in this particular instance. But you're going to have Errol Spence go ahead and go forward with this rematch against Terence Crawford. And, when we go back to the thing with Wilder versus Fury, when the third fight, leading into the third fight, a lot of people didn't really think that Wilder had, much of a chance there against Tyson Fury in the third fight. But that particular fight was, about as well, I think, I would say was not as competitive as their first bout, but it was, the most exciting bout of the three, at least for a lot of people that saw the third bout, even though Deontay Wilder ended up being knocked out in that third bout. But for Errol Spence Jr., he wants to go ahead and get his get back. As that was, the first loss of his professional career, and it was something where, they said, hey, this was the agreement that, they wanted to go ahead and have the rematch if it was out there, regardless of who the winner was going to be. So for them to go ahead and go forward to take that rematch, that means that, hey, Errol Spence wants to go ahead and try to see if he could hand Terence Crawford his first loss of his professional career. So, I mean, I'm looking forward to seeing how this is going to turn out. Of course, Errol Spence Jr. said, hey, if we're gonna, want to have this rematch, man, we want to have it at 154 pounds. And, of course, it was no secret that Errol Spence Jr., tried to hold on as long as he could to try to have that one fight against Terence Crawford for undisputed, because he really wanted to move up to 154. And that was pretty much talked about since 2021. But for him to go ahead and have that bout, have the fight there, initial fight there against Terence Crawford for the undisputed welterweight titles, that was just a big event, for all people that were involved there. So, people should be able to give props to him to go ahead and have that fight take place and everything like that. But he ended up, like I said, falling short big time there against Terence Crawford. And with him having the hopes of having this bout at 154 pounds, it's pretty much up to Terence Crawford, as he was the winner, of this bout, to say or determine, hey, do I want to go ahead and have this rematch at 154 pounds, or I say like, nah, it's got to be 147. I'm the the undisputed welterweight champion. I was the one that went in there and defeated Errol Spence Jr. to go ahead and become the undisputed champion. And this is something where I say, hey man, you want to go ahead and have this rematch, I want to be able to say, hey, I'm the not only the two division undisputed world champion, but at the very least, I want to go ahead and defend the undisputed championship. Now, I mean, you have some rare occasions where fighters have defended the undisputed world championship, but other times, especially like recently, once fighters become undisputed, they just end up moving up. They end up moving up in weight. You only had, of course, recently with, Devin Haney defended the undisputed titles on a couple of occasions. Of course, in a rematch against George Kambosos and then here this year against Vasily Lomachenko. But you have like say Jermell Charlo, you have like someone like Alexander Usyk maybe or something like that. Well, at least with Jermell Charlo, at least we know that he's not going to defend those undisputed titles there at 154 pounds as he's moving up to face Canelo. So, but here in this particular instance, maybe you could have Terence Crawford defend the undisputed title against Errol Spence in the rematch, which seems like it's going to happen in December. But if not, then you'll probably have some type of incentive, so to speak, in order to I guess give Terence Crawford the lion's share of the purse, or probably a good enough percentage to where you go ahead and have that fight take place. Because I mean, as of right now, or at least for a good little while, for both fighters, you won't have either one of these fighters be involved in any fight that would be as lucrative as the rematch would be at this particular point. Of course, like I said, you got notable fighters at 154 that are either occupied or even if they had a potential matchup with any of those guys at 154, it wouldn't be as lucrative as Crawford versus Spence too. So you want to go ahead and say, hey man, if we're gonna go ahead and make some more money in reference to continuing our careers, then yeah, let's go ahead and do that. Run this back, have another fight. And of course, like once this thing goes forward, you're gonna see that Terence Crawford is gonna be a more significant favorite in this fight, of course, as he was in the first fight, and that seeming like on paper from what we've seen in the first bout from a style matchup, we don't a number of people don't see where Errol Spence could be able to perform or at least have a better result here in this rematch against Terence Crawford. But we'll still have to be able to see the fight in order to see what the results are going to be at. So for Errol Spence to go ahead and activate this rematch clause, I mean, that just says one thing about him. He's a competitor. He's a fighter and somebody that has a lot of pride in a sense. So he wasn't going to go ahead and just have Terence Crawford have that one win and not have the opportunity to get back at him when that clause is there. So you would kind of like say with Errol Spence, him having that type of mentality is that hey, he wants to get back in the lab, get back in the gym, and go ahead and take this rematch. But like I said, it's pretty much up to Terence Crawford if they want to do that. And for some people, they said, hey, it took a good little minute for Terence Crawford to initially accept the first bout. Now what could be happening here for this potential second bout? Bringing in a guest here, of course, a longtime contributor to the Boxing Source here, of course, checking in from Georgia, the boxing academic in the building. What's happening?
What's going on, JR? How you doing today?
All chill, man. All chill on this Labor Day, man. Labor Day weekend, all ended. Like I said, pretty much was a slow weekend. Of course, they don't really have much as far as like live boxing is concerned during the weekend, but we still had a number of news stories that went down, man. I'm just gonna run through the top two, basically. That first thing here with Errol Spence saying that hey, he wants to run it back with Terence Crawford, man. What you think about him doing that?
Well, I think that if there is something with him neurologically, does he want to maximize on his earning potential now, or does he want to risk it to try anything later? I would tend to believe, even if there is something neurologically, I would tend to believe that he believes that he can have a better showing against Terence Crawford and potentially beat him. Obviously that's going to take a change of strategy. Tigers don't really change their stripes, so we can't say that his skills will substantially be different And it may all be for naught if his punch resistance is indeed compromised, because of the potential neurological stuff going on. So get your money, man, but protect yourself at all times. And that's even outside of the ring, and being able to be a father and husband and all that stuff for your family. So, I mean, if you're going to get this money, get the money. But, I wouldn't push it too far unless they know something that we all don't know, as in that he's okay. But let's say if he ain't okay, get your money, man, and get out of the sport.
Yeah. My thing is, like, if they hadn't really, fully cleared them, then they probably wouldn't be able to go forward with the rematch, or at least not, to the point where it would take place, by the end of this year. And so, for them to, say, hey, we had, the, what is it, the 30-day, regular suspension, 30 days that they put on, for fighters, after a fight or something like that, and then you get another 30 days in order for fighters to kind of like, evaluate where they're going to go next as far as like their next fight is concerned. And in this case, like I said, they just had the thing for a rematch clause. And, at least, even like after the fight, he was able to, be up at least up enough to be available for the post-fight press conference. So if he said, what he said during that post-fight presser, and we saw what happened in the All Access epilogue for that fight, that he said, hey, man, he want to run it back. Then he's like, hey, cool, we going to run it back. So unless if, they still have more tests to run there for Errol Spence, or like something happens within, the next, 30 to 60 days or so, then they're just going to see if they can move forward with this fight. So, I mean, like I said, I kind of like have this similar to the situation from Wilder Fury 2 and Wilder Fury 3, that, Wilder had, suffered the loss to Tyson Fury, where he was kind of like, significantly beaten in that second fight, but he immediately activated that rematch clause. And in the third fight, we seen that was pretty much one of the more exciting fights that, fight fans have seen in a long time. So maybe it could be something like this here in this third fight. But, I guess, he's trying to say that the weight and the conditioning was a factor in this first fight. And, there's some fans that do point that out, or point out to his performance in this bout on July 29th, that they said like he didn't really look as good as he had been in the past. So I don't know. Maybe he's kind of pointing to that as a major factor here.
Yeah, I mean, he definitely looked like something was not right with him. One thing I got to give him credit for is that he has a very strong will. I know there are rumors about him changing trainers, and my thoughts on that is, even though he's not going to be able to learn a skill in a certain amount of time period, it is probably not a bad idea to get someone else in the camp. I ain't saying go away from what got you there, but I'm saying to get a second eye in the camp to think of a strategy that would A, give him longevity in the fight, and B, that would give him the best strategy to beat Terence Crawford. And I ain't saying that Derrick James can't do that, because obviously he has a good track record in rematches. But I'm just, I'm saying a second opinion. Two heads are better than one, But obviously Derrick James should have the chief spot, as he always has had. But
right,
giving Spence credit, he won tough SOB, man. Even in defeat, the boy, you can tell how some people get defeated and the way they react. Unfortunately, it's unfortunate that I'm gonna say this, but Anthony Joshua is one guy in particular. Like, how he sort of acts in defeat is much different than how Deontay Wilder acts. Is much different than how Manny Pacquiao acts is much different than how even Lomachenko acts, you know. And Spence is in that same realm of those guys, you know. They are exceptional boxers, and they can accept defeat the same way they accept you know, victory, which obviously is hard for anybody, but I'm just saying he tough. Give him credit for that.
Yeah, I mean, he you know, his competitive nature is like, you know, he doesn't want to lose, and you know, even though you know he was like knocked down multiple times within 7 rounds or whatever it was, he was still out there, you know, competing and trying because he felt like, you know, even with what had happened, he still wanted to see if he could still get out there and try to win instead of, you know, just laying down or bowing down or something like that. So you know, with that being said, he ended up, you know, taking the loss, and then after that, like I said, he wanted to run it back with Terence Crawford, and you know that's something where you want to go ahead and face, you know, like I said, the 2 division undisputed world champion, someone that has, you know, basically been recently crowned, you know, top pound for pound fighter in the sport, and is, you know, definitely on the high right now after that performance that he had against Errol Spence Jr. But we got to see like what Terence Crawford says as far as like, hey, I mean, how am I going to, you know, go about this or whatnot? I mean, you know, he had already notified Coach BoMac of that, pretty much like confirming that it was a rematch that was going to take place. So it was something where it's like, hey, I mean, hey, we got to get right back into camp and we got to get ready and everything like that. So at the time, you know, when you know, Terence Crawford had notified Coach BoMac of it, then it was like, all right, you know, once I get back, we getting ready. So we back to work, you know. Um, so that was just something that, you know, he had to prepare for, at least Terence Crawford had to prepare for at that particular time. It's just that, you know, now we got to get more updates as to, okay, is it going to be at 154 pounds or is it still going to be at 147? You know, belts, would the belts be on the line or whatever? Who knows? But, you know, for the time being, we got to see if, you know, Errol Spence Jr. is going to, you know, show up a little bit better than he did on the first time, because, you know, for a number of people, he felt like he was lethargic or, you know, somewhere he was, you know, dehydrated or whatever it is. So now it's like, okay, you're going to have this second bout, all of that stuff that, you know, other people were saying, because he wasn't saying it, that other people were saying about your performance. Now they're going to see, okay, if you're going to be at 154, did you get to that particular weight like you wanted to? You know, are you going to perform at the, you know, your best of your abilities, and will that be a major difference in your fight against Terence Crawford? Because, you know, for others, they said like, look, whether you were pretty much like not 100% or not, like the way your style was just not good there for Terence Crawford, where Terence Crawford was very comfortable in doing everything that you needed to do or he needed to do in that particular fight. So it's like, what adjustments could you really make even at 154 pounds that could make you say, hey, you got a real shot here against Terence Crawford, given what was happening in that first fight? Not just, you know, from, you know, how you felt, but, you know, how Terence Crawford was able to, you know, execute everything that he wanted to execute in that particular bout. So that's the thing that we're going to be, you know, looking ahead to. The second thing that, you know, as you alluded to, oh, go ahead real quick.
Didn't he have a nutritionist in this fight as well?
He had a nutritionist. Yep, he
And
did. That was documented in the All Access that, you know, they had a nutritionist and him
he looked
doing
worse.
everything he needs to do. You know.
And he looked worse with the nutritionist, right? Like his ability to get energy was worse.
I mean, it kind of looked like that for some, man. It was like, you know, damn, he got to do this. He got to, you know, do, you know, certain things or whatever it is. So he had a nutritionist. I know that, you know, there was something about his strength and conditioning coach too that was of note. But, you know, we got to see like how that's going to, you know, turn out or shape out, you know, here for this coming rematch, if it does go ahead and take place, particularly if it's before the end of this year.
Because he didn't use the same strength and conditioning coach, Blu-ray or whatever his name.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Yeah.
So that could also be the difference as well. I mean, that's obviously the biggest change. I'm sure he did strength and conditioning, obviously, but I mean, you could see his strength and conditioning in the other fights with Blu-ray, and I mean, there are a couple of variables that change, so I guess it's hard to pinpoint.
Yeah, that's the thing, man. Is there are like videos out there about Blu-ray talking about him having a different Spence having a different type of demeanor, going into that fight against Terence Crawford on July 29th. But if Blu-ray is going to be back in the camp, then I mean we'll see what happens there in reference to that. But the other thing that I kind of like was talking about as far as like a factor in this particular bout was with his trainer Derrick James, and how busy Derrick James had been over the course of those past 8 to 10 weeks or so. Dealing with multiple fighters, that had high profile or big fights, going into those past couple months. So how much of that would be a factor in this bout against Terence Crawford, whether it was for the one on July 29th or for the rematch. And, speaking of that with Derrick James, of course, the other story that had been floating around on social media was that there was a report that they said sources close to Errol Spence Jr. Declared that he had broken ties with Derrick James, and that Calvin Ford and Roy Jones Jr. had been named as the top candidates to replace Derrick James for the rematch against Terence Crawford. But funny thing about it is like, if you go on, and of course, I'm involved with the Rise podcast. Of course, the guys over there at Upton Gym. Shout out to Coach Senior and Coach Squeeze. Of course, I have Coach Kenny Ellis, and of course, Coach Calvin Ford. And Coach Calvin Ford pretty much heard about that, and he said, "Hey, man, shoot, that's news to me." So I was like, "What in the world is going on with that?" But before I go on forward with more on that, got another guest here, of course, supposed rival of the boxing academic. It's MVO Uncensored. What's happening?
Free BoMac.
Oh, we gonna talk about that for sure, man. We gonna talk about that for sure.
MVO ain't no rival of me. That's he one of my biggest fans. Ain't that right, MVO?
Huge fan. Such a huge fan, man.
Thank you. See, JR trying to make us come at each other.
Mm-hmm. Don K pitting two black men against each other.
Always the brother. Always the brother.
Always the brothers trying to set them up.
Come on, man. See, you know what it is? It's this tether here trying to put these two FBAs against each other.
Oh, don't even do that. Don't do that,
yo. That's funny.
Did you guys get to talk about Chris Eubank yet?
No,
he didn't even say nothing about Chris Eubank. He didn't say. Oh, okay, I didn't think you were gonna say that.
Yeah, not yet. Yeah,
gotcha.
Yeah, we all going in order with this one, man. I'm jumping on the thing with the Spence rematch first, and then we're gonna get into the whole thing with Eubank and BoMac after that.
Well, we knew Spence was going to activate the rematch clause. Like we said last week, it was probably done already. I'm sure Crawford got a little bit of extra money to make the weight 154. So that's probably what you're going to see it as. I can't wait. I want to really see if there's anything different that Errol Spence could do that could win this fight. Is he willing to go the Deontay Wilder route and go out on his shield in order to get this win?
Now I did, compare, this thing here as far as like him activating the rematch, like how Deontay Wilder activated the rematch against Tyson Fury after that second fight. But at least this time around, we won't get see what you don't understand, thief. We won't get none of that this time around. But despite that, I mean, even given this rematch, man, you talk about Wilder Fury 3 as being one of the most memorable fights in recent memory. So, here, that's that thing that we probably hope for, but at least try to see if Errol Spence Jr. gets a different result. And also if maybe a Blu-ray gets back in there as a strength and conditioning coach or something like that, or see how they handle this particular camp. But also that whole thing in reference to something that had been posted. What was it? on Sunday morning, it got almost a million impressions or something.
Ridiculous.
Oh man, talking about what sources close to Errol Spence Jr. said that he broke her ties with Derrick James. He said that Roy Jones Jr. is coming for
Imagine
top candidates. And coming for us like, yo, where you get that from? I ain't hear that. That's news to me.
it literally came from a troll account on Twitter, and everybody ran with it.
And everybody ran with the joint. It what made it even worse is that they put up something else following that with a post from of all people, Blue Blood.
Yeah, come on.
Come on, man. It's like, what are we doing, folks? What are we doing? Like, come on, man.
Tell you, man, journalism is dead.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, well, yeah, in a sense. It is because basically the internet, social media, man. Like when they say a lie could go around like 100 times faster than the truth comes once, man.
That literally is what happened.
I was like, oh my God, yo, that was just ridiculous, man. Like, how y'all gonna go ahead and run with that, man?
Well, I already got a fake report that I'm gonna put out there.
Okay.
I'm gonna say sources close to the situation says that Manchester police was tipped off about the gun in BoMac's luggage from a call originating from Dallas, Texas. I'm not gonna say who called. I'm just gonna say it was an anonymous call.
Anonymous.
From DeSoto, Texas.
You got to put the area code. You got to put the area code of like what a jail man.
Yeah, where the area is. Yeah.
No, we not adding to your funny post.
Man.
Hey man, that's the thing, man. I mean,
I feel bad for BoMac, by the way.
Yeah, that's unfortunate because I would imagine he just probably forgot it in his luggage, right? When he boarded the plane.
Yeah, I would assume so.
Yeah,
I look at it this way. You don't go through TSA when you're leaving the airport. You only go through TSA when you're entering. So when people say, well, how didn't they find it when he traveled there? Because where he was traveling from, it probably wasn't illegal to carry a firearm in your carry-on.
Yep.
So that's not going to cause a red flag. But coming back when you're in this bitch-ass country where they only got knives, you know, of course it's going to cause a red flag.
That's a good point. Well, and I'm sure.
Yeah, go ahead. I was saying, the thing too was like, one of them other times that BoMac was out there in the UK, he got attacked. So it's like, hey man, if he has like, certain feelings about being out there in that area, then he's gonna try to do something at least to protect himself. You know what I'm saying? So you
like Deontay Wilder said, I'd rather be safe than sorry.
So I'm like, hey, if it happened, like if there was any chance that it happened again, I'm like, what could he do? You know what I'm saying? He gonna have to get him off those guys. Get him off him somehow.
Now, what is your favorite president going to do about this?
Who's?
Listen, this is an international incident. International incident.
Yes, it is. Yeah, I've seen your post. I was like, hey, yo, your boy gonna have to. He gonna have to put it apart, and he gonna have to make some phone calls.
He have to. Listen, this can't turn into another Brittany Griner situation. They can't.
Listen, man. But the thing about it is, man, he was rendered into custody, and they said that he is due to appear in front of the court on October 9th.
Yeah, so he got to sit till. That's crazy.
That's over a month. Like, yo. You know how bad that man. You know how bad that is. You know what I'm saying? Like, yo, they gotta make some moves, bro. Like for real. They got, like you said, man. Free BoMac.
Now, if he's really sitting until October 9th, how much weight do you think he's gonna lose?
I don't know, man. I ain't even go get it all.
Might be a blessing in disguise, man. A whole month without that good Oklahoma food. He ain't gonna be eating mushy ass peas. Come on, man.
Oh, Jesus. Come on, man. We all have to go there, man. We all have to go there, man.
I might have to go to the UK with a gun too. Let me sit for a month. I might have to go to the UK with a gun too. Let me sit for a month.
Well, who you trying to go after there in the UK? Don't even. Nah, man. But yeah, that's just a crazy situation, man. But like you said, I mean, in a number of these airports around the U.S., you could go through without having any issues if you had a firearm, regardless if it had ammunition or not. All you got to do is have special permits to
exactly
go through that.
Just stay out of California and New York.
Yep, pretty much. That's pretty much it. And but going elsewhere, then that's completely different. But even with that, like even if you didn't have something going in there, that's probably what you probably have to do is put it up posters.
Yep.
Going back to the UK before he closed his suitcase, someone went into his hotel room.
Probably AJ.
Oh no!
Yep.
No.
I want to know where AJ was. That's what I want to know. When they ask you, did someone else pack your bags? You'll be like, yes, Anthony Joshua.
No, dude, nah, man. Oh man, I don't know. Maybe it was Eddie Reynoso. I don't know. You say, hey, we're gonna remove all speculation of Terence Crawford facing Canelo Alvarez. We gonna have his trainer stuck in the UK. No, man, yo. Oh man, that would be bad, son. That would most definitely be bad, yo. But going into actually what happened over the weekend, man. He was going off of a successful, thing there with Chris Eubank Jr. With Eubank scoring that stoppage victory over Liam Smith, and Chris Eubank, looked like he was a whole different fighter.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? Like, where the heck was this Chris Eubank Jr.?
Look different. Sort of like how Manny Pacquiao looked like a different fighter, didn't he?
Uh-oh.
I'm joking.
Mike,
I'm joking.
Hey, MVO question. Was BoMac having fighters that were associated with a certain organization that starts with an S? But but regardless of that, man, Liam Smith also was said that he was dealing with the leg injury too, so he couldn't really move either. So it made Chris Eubank look like all world. But that may, set the stage for. I hope it doesn't happen though. But we know how things are. Usually, sometimes in the UK, they'll try to let things go through, more than what happens over in the US.
Yep.
So we could potentially have that fight between Chris Eubank Jr. and Conor Benn.
Ridiculous.
Just wait till that happens, folks. If you see that announcement, don't be surprised one bit. Because
if that fight happens, it needs to happen at 160 or 168. I do not want to see Chris Eubank try to shrink himself down again to get to whatever weight Conor Benn wants to fight at.
Man, I think it should just be at 168, man. Like,
yep.
Why even try to get down to even 160? Just have the fight at 168 and say, hey, look, man, it's your fault that we had this this initial bout be canceled in the first place. So if I don't feel like I could get myself down to 160 anymore, then shoot, we gonna have this fight at 168-pound limit.
Yep.
Take it or leave it. You know what I'm saying?
According to Eddie Hearn, this is the second biggest fight in the UK, a close second to Joshua versus Fury.
But that's Eddie Hearn being Eddie Hearn.
Yeah.
That's what he's like. He'll be like, "But mate, this is awesome, mate. We gotta have it happening."
Exactly.
Yeah, man. But outside of that, man, I mean, you really didn't have.
At least he do make fights, though. At least he do try to make fights, though.
Who?
Eddie Hearn.
Does he? When's AJ versus Wilder?
Well, we know why he don't want to make that. That's obvious. But I'm saying, as a promoter, his fighters probably lose the most because maybe they matchmaker ain't as savvy as say like a top ranked matchmaker. But
yeah, I mean, I'll say that because like if you're gonna have all of these guys from Mexico come over to the UK and smash every one of those UK fighters, and that's gotta be an issue there for you. You might as well just go ahead and keep doing those domestic fights because when it comes to world level outside of a few people, I don't think
the UK fighters are just not that good anymore.
Oh, so you're saying that whatchamacallit's going to lose to Bam Rodriguez later this year? You don't think Sonny Edwards is going to win that unification fight? Oh, MBO looks like you back?
Yeah. My cat knocked my phone out my hand.
Like, pay me some attention, bitch. You heard that cat asking for some food. I heard the cat asking for some food.
Well, he already ate this morning. He ain't eating again. Greedy ass cat.
Yeah.
Sick of this cat. Trying to eat 3-4 times a day.
Yeah, but man, so you'll think Sonny Edwards is gonna get that win over Ben Rodriguez either?
Oh yeah. Sonny's different. Sonny's different.
Well, he gonna have to do something because he don't have that many knockouts to his.
He got like 4 knockouts.
I thought it was like 2. I thought it was like 2.
He got like 4 knockouts in 20 fights.
Yeah,
but I think he gonna school Bam. I think he gonna school Bam, man. I'm not a believer in Bam like that.
Yeah, I feel you, man. But I mean that you got that as like one of those bouts that's coming up this year. Of course, you had the thing with Canelo versus Charlo. They had their undercard thing that's going down. Ramos versus Lubin on that joint. Ugas versus Barrios, which like some people are saying that Barrios is going to win that fight. I don't know. I think they're tired of Ugas. I think that's what it is.
I've been tired of Ugas. You're annoying.
Well, what, annoying on social media?
Yeah.
What do you say on social media?
He's just annoying. He talks too much. Always typing paragraphs. I don't know, man. I think
when Twitter had expanded the characters to over 140, 160, your Dennis Ugas was celebrating.
For real.
No more like posting 3 or 4 tweets at a time. Now you can put everything in one post.
Exactly.
So I was like, come on, man. Like y'all gotta go ahead and he gotta go ahead and slow all that down, man. Like for reals. But for that to be, but that Ugas Barrios to be for the WBC interim, man. That's wild though, man. I guess they got Thurman going somewhere else, man. Like, shoot. With that being the case, I don't even know if Thurman's going to be fighting this year. Like, who he going to fight?
That's a good question because Ugas was supposed to be the fight.
Yep.
So now you wonder, first of all, what happened that Keith Thurman lost his spot? Why was the WBC okay with him losing his spot? Does this mean that he turned down official offers to fight Ugas and they went to the WBC like, listen, this guy doesn't want to fight, so can we go to the next ranked guy?
Yeah, that could be the case. But
Or he could be waiting for some belts that get vacated.
Yeah, that was the point of the WBC fight.
yeah, that's
Oh,
the
okay.
thing. He was there at number one.
Yeah,
He was there at number one for WBC. So you would go ahead and have that bout against Ugas. You would be the full champ there for the WBC, and that would be that. Like, where else would he, have the opportunity to, fight for what could be a potential, vacant title? Like,
I don't think we ever see Crawford again at 147.
well, with that being said, like who, unless they say
Why not?
Keith Thurman could get the WBA.
Because who the fuck is Terence Crawford cutting down weight to fight? Ain't nobody there worth no money except for Keith Thurman. And Keith Thurman will fight
Keith
him at
Thurman.
154. Keith Thurman will fight him at 154.
Oh, okay.
So I don't see why Crawford is going to cut weight for Boots. Nobody cares about Boots.
Don't tell folks in Philly that.
I was gonna say something similar.
Like, don't tell folks in Philly that. But
Okay, so where's his big homecoming fight at a big arena or a stadium? They're not paying money to see Boots.
Yeah, I guess it's like, hey, that's the reason why they had Boots versus Boots in his last fight that he had. It was over there in Atlantic City, man.
Yep.
That's wild though. That would have been something where they could have really built Boots to something to have like a homecoming fight and go ahead and have that showcase, because he got the result that he wanted in that bout. But
there's no money in Philly, unfortunately. What's crazy is that Philly's not a small market.
Yeah, it's not.
And historically, Philly has done well with boxing. So I don't understand, why is it this new crop of Philly fighters, they can't sell?
Yeah, I don't get it either, man. Like, I don't know where it comes from. I mean, you had a unified world champion at one point, and you couldn't get him. You couldn't get him a fight there. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
And then here it is. Juan Ennis. He could have had this thing here where he could have defended that interim title.
Everyone is generally, from what I can see, level-headed, and people like people to act a fool. So I'm sure that doesn't help them in the grand scheme of casuals, pushing them to get more money and stuff.
So what, you think Boots is too classy to be a big star? You sound like ESPN.
No, I'm saying that I respect his classiness. I respect J-Rock's classiness. I'm just saying that Lauryn Hill said, I say motherfucker so the niggas can hear me. That's all I'm saying.
Okay, but maybe Boots ain't fight nobody that we give a damn about in order for him to build up that rep. Who's he fought that made you say, I need to see that fight?
I mean, I don't disagree with you.
If you build it, they will come.
Yeah, and the thing about it is, it's like who out there is willing to step in the ring to go up against him to get him that name. You know what I'm saying? That's the thing though. Like, you already got Ugas that's occupied.
That would have been the right person, Ugas, because he's the most expendable out of everybody.
Yeah, he is expendable, in a sense though. But you got him. He ain't there, and we've heard what Keith Thurman said about Boots in this. So that's not gonna be out there for him. And
they're not gonna give him Danny Garcia.
Nope. Danny Garcia has already moved up.
Oh, that's right.
And all of these other guys that are out there, like the Butayevs, the Gabriel Maestres, like, they ain't gonna be interested in those fights. Even the thing with like Iman Sanionis, like, even with that, they're not kind of like getting up for those fight, that type of fight either. So it's like, what else can he do, man?
Mm-hmm.
It's gonna be it's like for the first time in a while, with the welterweight division. Once Errol Spence and Terence Crawford make it official that they're not going to be at 147 anymore, that cover is going to be kind of bare though at 147.
Yep,
It's been years since we've kind of like heard that. So unless if they get some other fighters that might come up and boost things up for that division. Hey, once we had that, Spence Crawford, that was pretty much it. That pretty much done, man. And there ain't really somewhere you could kind of build things up to have another mega fight at 147. Like that opportunity is out the window once Virgil Ortiz couldn't make 147 no more. So what else can you do? You know what I mean? But yeah, man, I'm pretty much like that was it, man. Like they really much was jumping off this week. You know what I'm saying? So this is kind of like a short podcast here, under an hour or something like that, man. I don't even know what's up for next week. I know that they got like a world title fight coming up with Luis Alberto Lopez and Joey Gonzalez that's going to be on for Top Rank. But outside of that, really ain't got much action here coming up until that Canelo versus Charlo card on September 30th. So we got to see what else is on slate for the fall season. Some of the other big fights haven't been announced quite yet. Like I said, Benavidez Andrade hasn't been announced quite yet. We'll see what happens with this thing for a rematch for Spence and Crawford. We got to see if Deontay Wilder is going to be back in the ring this year. We got to wait to see what's going to happen with Tank Davis. And also,
did you see his tweet?
Huh?
Did you see Tank Davis's tweet?
Hold up. Did he say something to the level of shut your just say it?
Nah, he said move in silence. I think he got a fight set already.
Yeah, he pretty much.
An announcement's coming up soon.
Yeah, something's coming up there. He said, and he retweeted. He also retweeted. Yeah, it's almost that time. The return. So yeah, he's getting himself ready for another fight. So that's what's going down, man. But outside of that, there really isn't much else to kind of like go over. We'll get back into it. Try to get that midweek report on Wednesday, and then once again with the podcast next Sunday. So we try to get these things moving when it comes to this content and everything like that in the news. So big ups to Box Academic, big ups to NVO Uncensored for getting on this particular podcast. Like I say, at the end of every show, folks, quarterback says to hitting it. Not get hit and understand the trade. On that note, folks, I'm out. Have a good evening, everybody.
Peace.